Hi everybody, it's me, Duff Rowden. Hey, down here at the beach, let's go for a walk together, okay? I want to talk to you about something that I like to call God's MO. God's MO of dealing with you specifically. You know, I like this saying that somebody said, it's the birthright of every child of God to be able to hear their Father's voice. And the Bible actually says that the first thing that happens inside our heart when we know Him is something inside our heart cries out and says, Abba, Father. And so I've been thinking about this for, quite some time actually, but how God will set up patterns in your life, specifically for you, where He can get through to you. If you, make it simple and you think about, how parents develop an MO with each one of their children. Like I look at my daughter and she has 4 kids, and she deals with every single one of those kids differently than the other, because there's a way of communicating with them in a way that they can understand. And so God has that with you, and He's constantly trying to establish patterns that you can understand, you can know Him better, and you can know what His will is in your life. I think it's a yearning in the heart of every single human being that we want to know Him, we want to know His voice, we want to know that He's guiding us. And just like a child, we want to know what our boundaries are. We want that for the sake of safety. We want that for the sake of encouragement. We want to know that for the sake of branching out and growing and getting better and becoming people that really know how to walk on our own instead of relying on other people all the time. When you read through the whole Bible and you become very familiar with the Bible, you'll see that God really has, you see His mode of operating with people all through the Bible. So when you read the Bible and you start to understand that this is really part of it, that God He's always seeking to speak to people in a way that they can receive it, and He wants that for you. So, this is Christmas time. It sure doesn't look like it around Southern California, but, being Christmas time, a lot of you might want to read the story of Mary and Joseph. And this Joseph, it's interesting that God even gave him his name, Joseph, because that's going to be part of God's MO with him. But the MO with Joseph is this. His background is this. He's not a rich guy. He lives in a poor town. He probably doesn't make that much money. He's a carpenter, and he builds tables, and I don't even know if they had chairs back then, but he's just building stuff for people's homes, not making a lot of money. But his name is Joseph. And if you know the Bible very well, there's an amazing story about Joseph in the latter half of the book of Genesis. And it talks all about this other Joseph in the book of Genesis who had dreams, and God guided him with dreams. And so he kind of knows that this is his namesake. And so what happens to Joseph is he's engaged to this girl, Mary, who's a teenager, and he finds out she's pregnant. And that's bad news for him, but the Bible says he's a righteous man, and he didn't want to embarrass her and put her out. He wasn't a self-righteous man. He was a righteous man. He was kind. He was merciful. And so, but the first dream he had 4 dreams, by the way. The first dream he had was this. The Lord came to him in a dream, and he said this: don't be afraid to marry that girl Mary, because what is in her was conceived by the Holy Spirit. So that was dream number 1. Now the next dream is a warning, and it's a fierce warning, and it's a sudden warning. And he comes to them after the baby Jesus has been born, and he says, get out of Israel and flee to Egypt, because they're coming. They're going to try and kill your child. So he immediately does that in the middle of the night. And that night, Herod sends his soldiers and kills all the other little baby boys 2 years and under in and around Bethlehem. Just a horrible, horrible scenario. But God spoke to him in that dream. Then the next dream came a couple years later, when Jesus is probably somewhere around 2 years old, somewhere in there, nobody knows for sure. And it says, the people who are searching for your child are dead now, so it's safe for you to go back. And so that's the third dream that Joseph has. And he's understanding these because of his namesake, because the pattern set up, and he knew his scriptures that God might speak to him this way. And so he's really catching on to this thing, and he's obeying it. And then in the fourth dream, when they're going back, to Israel, he's got his mind set on going to one town, and the Holy Spirit says, don't go there, go to a different town. So he goes to a town called Nazareth, which is interesting because, you know, the Bible prophesies that Jesus is born in Bethlehem, comes out of Egypt, and comes from Nazareth. So these are all prophecies being fulfilled, and Joseph is just obeying one dream after the other. But you know what, you guys, you know, God has an MO, and I'm going to be talking about this the next few weeks, and bringing these things out in the scriptures and helping you discover God's MO for you. He has established that in my life from the time that I was a young man, and I want to share you about some of the exciting adventures that I've had of God's MO with me. So anyway, stay tuned. I want to ask you to do this. Could you please click like and please share, because a lot of people need to hear this. It's going to be about God's will, knowing God's will, and understanding the patterns that God is setting up, God's MO in your life, okay? So God bless you guys. Like and share if you feel led to give to us, you know, through Patreon or through Musical Mentors, WW Musical Mentors. Help us reach kids. I like what I heard today on the radio. It says you can't take it with you, but you can send it ahead. So give generously with us, okay? Okay, love you guys. Bye-bye.